Advances at podcasting's back end are providing unique opportunities for collaboration via syndication. No, not the last letter in RSS. Here's how true syndication can make your podcast's episodes better. Hello and welcome to another Podcast Pontifications with me, Evo Terra. Podcasting is a weird mix-up of staunch independence and tight collaboration. It's been that way since the beginning. We podcasters want to do our own thing, but we also really like working with other podcasters when it's appropriate. But it's perhaps because of that first part, that collaboration with others often turns out to be a chore. Because production schedules don't line up, and certainly processes don't line up whatsoever, so it makes it really hard to collaborate as much as we would like to in podcasting. Or is it? There's a better way. That better way is through syndication of content. Now again, I don't mean the second S in really simple syndication. Technically, yes, every podcast that has an RSS feed, which is what's required, is syndicated through RSS. But that's syndicating your entire podcast. And I don't mean that. What I'm talking about is actual syndication where you, the podcaster, augment your episodes with short content that has been produced by someone else, but more importantly, syndicated to you. You make room in your episodes for syndicated content. Again, produced by somebody else, but airing on your show, and here's the key part, always up to date. Regardless of when someone downloads the episode, it will always contain the freshest stuff. Now, I'm going to tell you about this in just a moment. Let me just imagine for a second here. Let's say you do a show that's health related somehow. What if you were going to syndicate some content into your show that was healthy news? Or maybe just a one single tip for healthy living. Yes, you could create those on your own, but what if you didn't have to? What if you stayed focused on your show about health and let that other syndicated content come into your show? Maybe you do a show for higher ed, academics in the higher ed space, right? Maybe a segment that covers the latest grants, possibly, or maybe relevant legislation, if in fact that impacts your particular show. Great. Syndicate that content in. Maybe you've got a show about golf, like one of my new clients does. Well, bring in the latest news, or from whatever tournament is happening right now and live, at least at the time of that was downloaded. If you do a travel show, maybe bring in a segment on travel deals that are super time sensitive to when the files were downloaded. You can do all of that by syndicating content into your program. Yes, you can bring in news so that no matter when someone downloads an episode you might have produced months ago, the latest news will actually play. Drop an advice column into your podcast. Sure, you can totally do that. With, again, the latest one would be the one that plays in your show. Quote of the day or inspirational content, those are always cool things to have in there, but again, they can get stale and that's a lot of work for you, but what if you brought that in? You know, meditation and wellness content is exploding right now in podcasting. You may not have time to create that, but you could syndicate that kind of content into your episodes, just making space for those. You can even do music. I mean, yes, we have licensing restrictions that apply, but getting around that is doable. You could play the latest music, or some fresh music at least, on your show. Again, syndicated by someone else. Now, also, I think this is way better for promos. Podcasters love to run promos for other podcasters. Those are fine, but if you're in a network, it gets even better if you think about using that content as syndicated elements that go into your show. Right? I mean, if everyone, or at least some of the people in your network, distilled down their latest episode into a 60-second spot, and you rotated that into your show, this is what else is happening on the network. Boom. Again, it's not a promo. It's not an ad. It's a piece of content that has been syndicated in. I mean, like, what if I was to take podcast pontifications and turn it into something, I don't know, let's call it a minute of pod zen. If you had a PAP, podcast about podcasting, or other podcasts that you just like technology type news, you could embed that 60 seconds-ish or so, that minute of pod zen, into your podcast, fresh every single time someone downloaded it. Mm-hmm. Other medium have done this for a long time. Newspaper, that advice column you read, somebody sitting at the paper didn't write that. Radio, a lot of radio you hear is syndicated. TV obviously is syndicated. Your local affiliate is not the one that's producing the vast majority of the content. Even magazines. Magazines have a lot of affiliated or syndicated content in them. Websites do it too, but in a crappy way quite often. Those ads that clutter the bottom of the page, relevant stories and things, ugh, sponsored content, gross. But nonetheless, that's still syndicated content. They're just not doing a great job. I think that with us in podcasting, it's a lot easier for us. I know I just said something easy you're not doing, but it is. I think this is actually an easier thing to do, and I think we can do it better than a lot of those other mediums. Certainly a lot of than the web pages are. Now, the question becomes, how do you do all of this? How do you do all this? Well, Brian has a complete and total, Brian Barletta, I should say, from Sounds Profitable. His entire article today, I know because I edited it, is going to be about his use of syndicated content on his podcast episode. Yeah. And the two people he has syndicating content for is me, that minute of Pod Zen I mentioned. It plays at the end of this week's episode of Sounds Profitable. And also he has some from James Cridland, Pod News, that plays at the top of the show. I've actually made that minute of Pod Zen so you too can use it on your show if you would like to. Aha! You certainly can. There'll be a link in the episode details, but I have made minute of Pod Zen something available that anybody, as long as they clear it with me first, can utilize and drop into their podcast. So if you want to try that, give it a shot. There's even a place you can, well, the website itself, the web page I'm going to send you to, there's a player so you can hear what that sounds like. So again, check the link in the episode details. Yeah. So who would you like to collaborate with in this particular way? What show makes the kind of content that you would like to have in perhaps a more distilled form, or perhaps in the exact form it is right now? Who would do that for you? Here's my suggestion to you. Share this episode of Podcast Pontifications with them and see if it sparks an idea. Maybe it will. Maybe they'll work to collaborate. And again, you can go to Brian's article on Sounds Profitable to get all the fancy details about that. Now, if you love this idea, great. Go to buymeacoffee.com/evoterra and show your love with a little virtual coffee. Would you? Thanks. That's it. I shall be back tomorrow with yet another Podcast Pontifications. Cheers.